I welcome you all in this session. In this session, we'll be covering what all customization options we have in the ERPNext. So ERPNext has many standard features, like we have standard forms, standard masters. You can make many transactions. Uh, so many features are inbuilt, but you might find something missing as per your business scenario. Like you might find some fields are missing or some form itself are missing in ERPNext. You want some different logic based on which values are calculated. You want a different print format or something. So each business has its own requirement. Now, since ERPNext is generic product, you might always find some requirement which is different as per your business case. So in this session, we will discuss which all customization options we have available within ERPNext, using which you can customize ERPNext as per your own business requirement. Right. So let's check the standard customized form tool, which all option it covers. So we have, let's say we have a standard customer master. In customer master, all these fields are available, and we have name, type, territory, customer group. All these fields are available. And if you want to make some changes in the standard document, so if you want to change label of this existing document, you want to set some field which is visible. You want to set that field as hidden, and you want to make some field visible in the print format and something like that, you can use customize form tool. So this is the customized form for customer master, right? And it has all the standard fields. So all the fields we see in the form, it's actually a row in a Doctype, right? So every form like customer or supplier or any transactions like lead, opportunity, sales order, sales invoice, everything in ERPNext is a Doctype, right? So now customized form is a tool from where you can change the property for the existing field and change the property for the standard Doctype from the front end, right? So let's say the standard label for this field is full name. I want to change it to customer name. So I can just edit the label from here. Say status is the field here. I want to hide this field, so you can just check this field hidden or unhide it. Right. So based on this, based on all this functionality, you can set the property for the existing field. You want to set this field as mandatory, then just check this field. You want this field to have a unique value. No other customer should have same value. Then you should check this field. You want to have this field visible in the list view. Then you should check this field. Right. So there are many properties which is configurable. So based on your business requirement, you can change the property. And we have the standard text ID field. So let's identify a customer. So let's go to customer master. Let's say this is the customer we'll be using. So if this is our customer, and say we have a text ID field wherein we can capture some information. Let's say this is the text ID for this customer. Let's assume that we want to make a sales order for this customer. So we click on sales order for this customer, and then we click on new. So with this, we have all the details of the customer fetched here, right? We can also select an item very quickly. So this is the item, so we can save. But in here, we didn't have the customer's tax ID fetched. We had customer's address and contact detail fetched, but we didn't have the customer's tax ID fetched. So let's see how we can add a custom field for the customer's tax ID, and how we can have the customer's tax ID fetched in the transactions as well. So the customization requirement we are looking at that in the sales order, or let me go further back in the customer master, we have a field called tax ID, right? Now when we make a sales order, we want that text ID field should be fetched in the sales order as well. So how do we customize that? How do we insert a custom field and have value fetched in that custom field from another master? So let's go to sales order. In the sales order, let's say customize form. Say I want text ID field updated here. So I'll do insert above. I want to add text ID field for that customer. Let's set field as read only. And since I want value in this field fetch from the customer master, so I'll enter the Doctype name, which is customer, and then field of the Doctype from its value should be fetched. So this will be the source field, and this will be the target field. So when I select customer, it will pull text ID value from the customer master and fetch into that into this field. So we have added this field, and let's update it. So sales order is updated. Now, if you go back, now every time you do any customization, you'll have to do a reload, so the changes made will take effect. We can reopen, and now we have the text ID field here, but there is no value, so we'll have to reselect customer, and now we can see that text ID is fetched. And so this is how you can insert custom field in the existing doc types. And on these line, you can also have the custom field, the value in the custom field fetch from the another master. Same way you can add many other custom field. Let's say in the sales order there is no detail related to transporter, right? So you can add extra additional fields related to that. Let's say I want to insert transporters information or transporter name. So I'll enter the field label. I'll select the field type. Will it be the task field or data field, date field, float field? What would be the field type? Let's say it will be a data field. Now I don't have to set field name manually for the custom field I add. It will be set based on the field label. So as soon as you create a custom field, based on the label you give to that field name will be set. Right? Option is it's based on condition. What is the field type? So if field type is, let's say, a select field, if it's a select field, then I'll have to enter all the options. So it will be a drop down field wherein you'll be able to select all the possible results for that field. So in case of data field, it will be simply data. Then do you want to check, do you want to make this field mandatory? Do you want to make this field unique? So you can use all this property. And now once you save any transaction, once you submit any transaction, you won't be able to make any changes in it. But you want to allow editing in this field even after submission is done, then you should check this field. You want to hide this field in the report, you should check this field. You want to have this field hidden in the form, then you should check this field. So there are many different values, many different options to configure custom fields as per your requirement. You can also enter depends on. So let's say you want this field to be visible only if value in some other field is something else. Let's say it's explained in the example here that if in the age field, if value is greater than 18, then only this field will be visible. So you can also add conditions like that, just like one is mentioned in the description here. So let's add this custom field, transporter name. Now we don't have any field name, so once you update this, sales order updated, and now we also have field name generated here. And so this way you can add custom fields and make changes in the existing doc type as per your requirement. So we have covered the customized form and custom field features for now till now. Now let's assume that after we receive an order from the customer, we make sales order, and when we actually dispatch product to our customer, we make delivery note. But in between, we need a doc type or a form called picking slip. So in the picking slip form, what will happen? Let's say I'm the person at the warehouse. I'll go to warehouse. I'll go to racks and bins, and I'll start picking items. So when based on the item I pick, or as soon as I pick an item from the warehouse, I need to make an entry of it. So I'll have to basically create an additional doc type called picking slip in the ERPNext, wherein a warehouse user can feed in when he's actually picking items from a specific based on the specific order, right? So let's see how you can add specific you can add a custom doc type in your ERPNext account. Let's create a custom doc type called picking slip. Okay, so I can add a new doc type. Let's say we'll add this doc type in the stock module. So select the module. Document type would be say document. So based on this, item would be categorized and listed in the module view. No need to edit anything in this field. It's a bit technical. It's custom, so let it be. It's read only field. Now we'll go about adding fields we want in this doc type. So let's say the first field would be naming series. It will be a select field with options. So what would be the option? Packing slip. So you can also set this as a default value, so user won't have to select value in this field all the time. So let's say this field will be a mandatory field. Okay, this is fine. Insert below. So we add another field. Let's say customer master. So customer will be a link field linked to the customer master. But for now, we'll set this field as read only, because on the selection of sales order, value in the customer field will be fetched from the sales order. So we won't have to add value in this field manually. And then we add customer name. It will be a data field, customer name. Again, this will be the read only field. Right, so these are the three fields we have added for now. Even if you leave name field blank, that's fine. On saving doc type, based on label, field name will be generated. Now let's say I want a break here. So for example, we see this form. There are some fields on left side, there are some fields on the right side. So I want to in this section, I want rest of the field to appear on the right side, so I'll insert a column break, and then I'll add more fields like posting date. It will be date field, and for this I can set default value as today, and then we can add say one more field called created by. Let's say it will be linked field linked to the user master. Let's save this for now. Say call it picking slip create. Okay, so it will be user. Enter at least one permission role. So for each doc type, you also have to define who all will be able to access it. So let's say stock user can and stock manager. These are the two user will have access on this, right? And let's make this document a submittable document. So stock user will only have permissions up to create and delete. Only stock manager will have submit and cancel permission as well. Let's also give amend permission. and you want to make this Doctype importable, so one could create it using data import tool. So you should check this field. You want to allow renaming for this Doctype, check this field. So there are different settings. You can also set a default print format for this Doctype, and you can also do this from the customized form. So this is actually, in a way, this is the backend, this is the Doctype, and what we see from the customized form, it is actually another layer, we could say, of a Doctype only. So let's save this picking slip. Great. So Doctype has been generated. Now another important thing is what would be the convention based on based on naming would be done. So now we have said is the naming series. So now when we save any picking slip, its ID will be generated based on this series PS-0001, and that series will be followed. Now, there are different naming options available. It can be based on some specific field name, like when I save or add a new customer, so a customer ID is generated based on whatever value I enter in the customer name field. Same way it can be based on prompt. So when we saved a Doctype, it gave us a prompt wherein I entered picking slip. So that was an example of having document ID generated based on prompt, right? So all these options are available. What would be the title field? So you can also set value in all these fields. So now the next step would be just like we have item table in our sales orders. Same way we'll need item table in the picking slip Doctype as well. So if there is a child table, you will have to add it as another Doctype in your ERPNext account. So let's add a new Doctype for the picking slip item. So we'll check this field is child table, and we'll go about adding fields in this Doctype. So first field will be item code. It will be a link field, and this, if it's a link field, then you also have to define the Doctype it will be linked to, and we'll set this field as mandatory. We'll check in list view for this field, so it will be visible in the table. And then we add more fields. Then we have item name. It will be simple data field. And then we have description. It will be small text field. And then we have quantity field. So it will be float field. And for this field, now this is again very mandatory field. So it will have to check mandatory for this field as well. And we should check in list view, I think, almost for all the fields in list view. So we save this and we name it as picking slip item. So naming matters the most. It really matters, especially when you're writing custom script around the Doctype. So you should very attentively name the custom Doctypes or custom field for that matter. And so now this Doctype is saved. Now how do we link this Doctype with the another parent Doctype which we have added? So we have come back to the parent Doctype picking slip, and in this Doctype now we'll add a custom. Now we'll let's put a section break now. So what is section break? So this is first section, and then this is another section, and it's also highlighted with a background color. So let's put a new section break, so we can easily identify that this is the item table, and this is a table which is linked to picking slip item Doctype. So this is also saved, and then in the end we'll have what, let's put one more section break, then column break. Then we can add a total quantity field. So let's say we need a total quantity field in the end. So we can save this. This Doctype is saved. You can also rearrange field using drag and drop feature like this. So Doctype is created. Now let's see how it will appear in the form. So let me reload my ERPNext account. New picking slip. It's visible here. And we can also see this from the Doctype. So we added this in the stock module. So if you go into stock module, in here we can see the custom doc types we have added. So you can go to picking slip from here and click on make a picking slip. So this is how your form would look. You can select the naming series, posting date. Posting date I set in the posting date I set today as a default value, so it has updated today. Then you have item master, you have item table. So in here it is a link field. Based on item code selection, I need item name, description, quantity, etc. to be fetched. Then I also have item quantity field. So now we need to make some changes here. Now let's say if I am the warehouse user and I go to warehouse for picking some items, so I'll have some reference. I'll have sales order ID in my hand. So when I'm making picking slip, I'll need to specify for which sales order I'm making this picking slip, right? So this means that in the sales order or in the picking slip, we should specify for which sales order I'm making this picking slip. So we'll go back to the doc type of picking slip, and we should add a new field here inside above. It should be sales order field, link field, and it will be linked to the sales order master. Right. So let's say we have added this field, and let's reload now. So now we have a sales order field, right? And then we also had other fields like customer name, and we also have these fields customer and customer name, but we don't want to add value in this field manually because all these values already there in this sales order. So what I want that as soon as I select sales order, values in this values in this field should be fetched automatically, and for this you will have to write a custom script. So now let's see how you can write a custom script in your ERPNext account. So I'll go to explore. I'll go to setup module, and from the setup module I'll go to customize section. In customize section we have option called custom script. We'll add a new custom script for picking slip, and in here now we'll write a custom script and we'll say that fetch value so on sales order selection, fetch value from customer to customer. Means on selection of sales order, fetch value in the customer field of sales order doc type into the customer field of picking slip doc type. Right, so this is just an example. Right, so if I go back here and if I select, okay, I think I'll need to reload. So now as soon as I select customer, it has fetch customer from the sales order. And on the same line, you can also add a custom script for customer name field. So in case you have a different value in customer name and customer ID, this will be helpful. So if I reload my ERPNext account once again, and select a sales order ID. You can see it has with customer name as customer ID as well as customer name. And you can select who created this. So whoever was the creator can be selected here. So this is one part. We have seen how you can write a custom script to have value fetch from one transaction to another transaction. And now let's say we add an item. So when we add an item, I want item name, description, etc. to be fetched from the item master. I don't want to add values in this field manually, because all this field is a value in all this field is already there in my item master. Right, so how do we write custom script for that? So let's do some commenting, so we can later on understand what is the meaning for this custom script. Picking slip. Okay, so now let's say we want to add another custom script to have item details fetched from the item master. So now we want customer name and customer script to be fetched from item master. So on the selection of item code, it should fetch item name from my item master into item name field of picking slip. And same way, I'll write custom script for description field as well. Let's save this. Let's go back to picking slip and do a reload. So now we can select any transaction. So on selection of item code, it should fetch item name and description. So it's working now. We can see that on selection of item code, it's fetching item name and description automatically from the item master. So now what we have to do, we have to enter quantity. So whoever is the user in the warehouse, based on the item he or she is picking from the warehouse, they'll also enter the quantity. And the another customization we need is we want this total quantity to be calculated based on all the items I have selected and its quantity. So the total quantity will be sum of all the quantity for all the items we have selected in the picking slip. So how do we write a custom script for it? Firstly, we'll have to now this field is a is an editable field, so we'll have to make this field a read only field. So we'll go to Doctype of picking slip, and we'll have to set total quantity field as a read only field. Now if I come back here and do a reload, so now it's hidden, so I think it will be visible as soon as I save a transaction. Item code, say this one, save. Okay, it says cancel transaction, so it's inbuilt validation. So save. But, let's add a custom script and let's see how it goes. So I'll open custom script tab, and this one is gonna be a bit complicated. So I have script readily available for it to have total quantity calculated in the picking slip. Right, so I have a script readily available here. So let me just copy and paste this for now, and later on we can see how it works. So this is the part I have copied in my custom script. save this. Let me quickly show you how it will work. Okay, I think it's showing with its field type. Since there is no value, it's not calculating. So it should be float field. Save. Okay, I'm sorry. So I think field type was an issue. Initially, I set that field as a data field, but since there will be values calculated, we should have this a field type as a currency or a float field. Right, so I've corrected that, and now in packing slip, it's showing that value. So let me just change this, and now we should have the value, this value auto calculated. So for some reason it's not calculating total value, so we'll have to debug now what's the reason. So let's check.
So let's debug this. Uh,
So I have Nabeen with me, he is the technical expert.
sleep.
Okay, so seems like it was because of the name we gave to the table. I named it as item. It should have been items with this. Great. So now we have this calculation being done. So let's quickly go to the custom script and understand what was actually written here. Right. So the very first function we have here, it says so we have a standard functions in Frappe. So validate is one of that function. So what it does, let's say when we save or submit transaction, we want some validation to be done. Right. So using this function, we can write which all validation would be done. And what we have done is on this validation function itself, we have said that as soon as validation function is run, also set total, also calculate and set value in the total quantity field, right? So this is the formula based on which total value is calculated, right? It picks quantity for each item we have in the picking slip, and then it calculates total quantity. And for the real time result, like as soon as I add an item, I want this calculate this total quantity to be updated. So how does that happen? For that, we have written this piece of code that as soon as we update or edit quantity for any item, it should be updated right then in the picking slip form, and this value should be updated right then. So this is the code which does that, right? So this is where we have actually called the function. This is where we have written a formula based on which calculation is done, and this is for having the total quantity field refresh in real time. So this way you can write many custom script. This is just an example. you want custom calculation to be done, you want value from one transaction or to be fetched from another transaction, you want any kind of, I mean, this actually gives you lots of scope. If you have script, if you have expertise on the JavaScript, you can customize your ERPNext account to much larger extent. So if you have any queries, then please post your queries in the chat section. So first question is, do you have a list of all known Frappe functions in a list with some type of description?
Um, okay, there are some documentation, but as you know, it is uh, not in a. It's not like a cheat sheet. You have to explore, or uh, basically you can check github.github.io. Give me 1 minute. I have shared a link here. Some of the custom scripts has been given as an example, so you can refer this code for some basic customization. And for if you know detailed, then you can ask in the discuss.erpnext.com. Some basic customization is already done in these examples.
Okay, to the another question, could we fetch complete item table from the sales order to picking slip? Indeed, that would have been convenient, and it can be achieved by writing additional custom script. So I think now we can have some brief on the Doctype mapper. Right. So in Frappe framework, we have a standard functionality called Doctype mapper, that when you are converting or fetching values from one transaction to another transaction, which all values will be fetched. It's a lot simpler to define the Doctype mapper from the UI itself. But since this functionality works on the server side, hosted account doesn't have that feature. So if you have ERPNext hosted on your own server and you want to do that, then you should define all the mapping requirement in the Doctype mapper itself. But if you want that in the hosted ERPNext account wherein you don't have the server side access, then it's possible, but you'll have to write additional custom script for that.
Yeah, basically you have to map the fields from which field to which field it will map. So you have to define that as well.
Another note here, there's a whole lot of possibilities when you're doing a server side customization, which we're not covering in this session for now. But we have help tutorials available on how you can make custom applications and custom doc types on Frappe. So you do check Frappe tutorials if you want to learn which all customization possibilities are there on the server side as well. Now let's say we have this print format, we have created this packing slip, and we have also submitted this, right? And so we can check the print format. So this is the print format we have. We have sales order, we have naming series, customer, and this is the standard print format. So if you wanted to make any changes in the standard print format, you can do it right from the customize form. So I can go to customize form and I can select. So it has fetched all the fields. To make any changes in the custom doctype, we should directly go to its main doctype master. So we go to doctype list and we'll select picking slip from here. So in the print format, we see that okay, the naming series field is also visible, so we don't want that field. So for the naming series field, we can check print height, save it. And if we do a reload once and check the print format, so that field is no more visible, right? So with for each doc type, the standard print format is created by default. Now if you want to create another print format for the same doc type, there are two options. You can create print format in Jinja, which is very easy to create using our print format builder tool, or you can create a new print format in the HTML as well. So let's see how you can create a custom print format in Jinja. So say we are on the print format of picking slip, click on customize, enter new name, say picking slip 2, or you can give it any name, right? So all the fields we have in the picking slip doc type, it's fetch here. Let's say we don't want customer ID to be updated here, so we can simply drag and drop that field on the left side, so that field will be removed from our print format. Same way for the child table, you can identify, let's say we don't want description column here, so just uncheck that field. Total quantity field will be there. If you don't want, you can just drag and drop on the left. If there is something you want to add, say amended from, so you can just add a field on from the left side to the right side. And then you also have a heading, how to define a heading, right? So if you want, you can edit this field, and you can write in HTML or Jinja. This is the example. So whatever the doc type or document ID is will be updated based on this. So you want this to be H1, so you can just change it like this, so it will be bigger, right? We can see this here, saved. So this print format is saved. Now if we go back, of course we'll have to do one reload. Now if we check the print format, we see standard print format, but we have a additional print format called picking slip 2. In that print format, we don't see customer ID, we don't see item description, because we removed those fields from the print format of picking slip 2. You see, if we switch to standard, then again we have customer ID field, we have item description field. I'll switch again to the print format we generated using print format builder. We don't have description field, we don't have customer ID field once again. So this is one option for creating custom print format. The another customization option is writing custom print format in HTML. So if you want to make a custom print format in HTML, then you can do it from here, and you can write the custom HTML and CSS you have in this section. So based on that, your custom print format will be generated. So this is about the print formats, how you can create custom print formats as per your requirement. And then we have workflows. So let's say you have more people approving picking slips. Say I make a first draft of picking slip as a user, then there is second person who approves it, say store manager, and then there is third person who also approves it, say account manager. So you want to set up a workflow wherein more than one person can approve one transaction, right? So and that can be applied on any document for that matter, not just any custom doc type, but say you have a sales order, you have a delivery note, you have a purchase order, purchase invoices. You can apply workflows on any document based on which the authorization custom authorization cycle can be defined. Okay, so let's check how to create workflows. So I'll create new workflow. Workflow name is say picking slip authorization or approval. Then we have we'll select doc type picking slip, and then we can define states. Say it's pending, uh, and it's allowed only for say stock user. And then we have we can add new approval, new state, say approved by stock manager. So you can define your custom states as well. Say stock manager will have permission on this state, and then we can add one more state, say approved by accounts manager, and account manager will have permission on this. And now we have doc status. So what is doc status? So let's say we make a new sales order, new picking slip. So when we save any transaction, its doc status is 0, and when we submit any transaction, its doc status become 1, and when we cancel any transaction, its doc status become 2. Right, so when we say that at pending doc status will be 0, at approved by stock manager doc status will be 0, it means it will be at the draft stage, it will be still editable. Right? But when we say that doc status will become 1, it will be it means that once we set this state for this doc type, it will get submitted. Right? And then we can add one more doc status called rejected. So it in ERPNext we call it cancelled, but as per workflow we can call it rejected, and say only account manager will have permission on that. Right? And then we have to basically define the flow. Say it will be pending, but if account manager approves, then its next state will be approved, and it's allowed only for the account stock manager. I'm sorry, it should be stock manager. So yeah, stock manager. And then again, when you are at pending stage, if it is rejected, say we can say it again goes back to pending. And then stock user will be able to take action. And then we have approved by manager, approved by stock manager. So it's approved by stock manager, and if we take action on this, then it should become approved by accounts, and it will be accessible only for the account manager. And same way from approved by accounts, if it is rejected at that stage, it should go to say pending, so stock user can make required changes in it. And then we have approved by accounts, and section is, let's say, let's call it review, and let's call this reject. So next state would be rejected, it means it will be cancelled, and only account manager can do this. So let's save this workflow. Created custom field workflow state in picking slip. Submitted document cannot be converted back to draft. Transition row number 4. So what's happening, let's see. So this is approved by stock manager, means it is already submitted, right? And if we set this as review, and if we're sending back to pending, so pending actually means saved stage, so it's not allowing us to do that. So it can be say approved by stock manager, and if it is asked, if account manager says that review it once again, it should again go back to pending. So it's saved now, right? Now if we create a new picking slip, say we select this sales order and we add this item, so to quantity, so we save this. So now we directly say submit, but if we activate this workflow, and if I come back to my picking slip and do a refresh, do a reload, now status will be something else. Now it's not draft, now it is pending, because the first stage we identified here was pending, right? And now let's say we log in as a stock manager, and stock manager will do first round of approval or rejection. So he approves, and once he approves, then status become approved by stock manager, right? And why it changed from pending to approved by stock manager, because in the workflow we have identified that if it is pending and if it is approved, then status should become approved by stock manager. It will be done by stock manager. right? And let's say now it will be assigned to the account manager. An account manager will do a final round of approval or rejection. So it says approve or review, because in here we have defined when status is approved by stock manager, it will be either approve or review, right? So say account manager approves it, and now it is asking should we submit this. Why? Because in the workflow we have identified that if status is going to become approved by account manager, doc status will become one, and one means submitted, and that's why when we are doing a final round of approval, it is getting submitted, right? So status has changed to approved by accounts manager, and this document has submitted. Now the another possibility is it might get cancelled, right? So we have one more option, say reject, which means cancel. So if we reject, it gets rejected, means it gets cancelled, and the status here becomes rejected. So even that is defined. So from approved by account manager, if we do reject, the status becomes rejected. So we can also cancel and amend it. So again that cycle will be applied, and based on amendment, the document ID is also updated. Every time you amend, hyphen one or two, three, four will be added accordingly based on how many time you amend that document. So we can see that once again, stock manager makes the first draft, stock stock user makes the first draft. So that is done. Now stock manager comes and he approves. So status become approved by stock manager. Now account manager comes and he again does approved or reject. So status becomes approved by account manager and document is submitted. If needed, then they can also reject. So this way you can also add, you can apply workflow wherein you can define how you can define multiple approvers for a single document or single doc type. Let's go for the final round of Q&A. If you have any queries, then please post your queries in the chat section. So we have a query from Abdullah. Is this process, is approval process is only used in document submission, or we can use it for permission as well? It's based on roles. So if you have a multiple, if you have a document on which users having multiple roles can work, you can apply workflow on it. Let's say lead is, for example, not a submittable document, but I think you can still apply workflow on it, because sales user, sales manager, CRM user, there are multiple roles who has permission on the lead doc type, so you can again apply workflow on it. So Varsha is asking, can we use this approval for invoices? So just like we created the workflow for picking slips, same way you can create workflow for your invoices or for any doc type for that matter, be it standard or custom. Okay, so I think we can end this session here. I hope you found this useful, and if you have any feedback on what we can do better, please send your feedback on support@erpnext.com. So we'll be waiting for your feedback. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.